Scheduling method. So we have options to book meetings that can be done from the TMS webpage itself. There is something called Smart Scheduler. I'll show that shortly. You can book the meeting from there also. From Outlook, we discussed this yesterday. Or you can have a customer interface. So we talk about a third-party interface wherein customer can set up their own third-party application, a front-end server. We can share them our booking API code. Basically, there's an API code available on the TMS webpage itself. They can download that file and they can upload that on their tool and configure the buttons on the web page accordingly and just do the bookings. So they can have their own customized scheduling page. For such scenarios, we can only help customers validating our code. So if someone says that I have set up my own interface and my bookings are not going through, I'm seeing this error or that error, all we can do is we can confirm what version he's using, what version of TMS he's using, get out get the actual code, the booking API code from that version of TMS. We can use, there are some freeware available online. So those are third party booking API tools. You can upload our code there and do the testing for the customers and confirm if you are able to book meetings. If we are able to do it, our code is working fine and he has to sort it out himself. We do not work on customer tools. That's their job to do. We will only help validating our code in the backend if that code is working fine. So that's all about scheduling, what all features we have. Here is an overview of the entire TMS portfolio. So if we talk about bookings, you can have your TMS web portal like this. There's a different portal called Smart Scheduler. This can also help you to do bookings if you want to do. Third is your Outlook page, which everyone has. You just open Outlook, click on booking, and this is what you will get. And you can have a third-party booking page. All three, Smart Scheduler, TMS XE, and the third party, they will all use this TMS BA booking API code. This flows over HTTP or HTTPS. APIs are sent to TMS, and TMS performs the function based on the information it receives. Uh, TMS as a web internally talks to the code over HTTP, HTTPS. If you need to integrate WebEx site to TMS, that's also gonna be on HTTPS. Okay, so we can configure our TMS with WebEx. Uh, when you book any meeting, you can log in with your name, your ID on TMS web and integrate your WebEx to it. The role of doing that is you can include a WebEx link in a booking so that if there are participants who are going to join using their WebEx clients, they can do it if they don't have WebRTC or other ways to log in. So they can do it with the help of WebEx here. TMS, when it talks to the managed devices, be it the endpoints, be it MCU, VCS, it's going to happen on HTTP or HTTPS again. TMS understand what API this endpoint or that endpoint supports. So it's going to send APIs based on what type of product we are using. So based on different versions that TMS introduced, like if there's a latest version, it will have information about all the latest products that we have in our portfolio. If you're using maybe a 10 years old TMS version, like 14.1, that version would have no info what this DX was, because at that time DX was not launched. So the APIs for DX won't work. When you try adding DX into TMS, it won't work either. So when you plan to add any device, you need to make sure the comparability between the endpoint and the version of TMS is there. Else, it may fail. And the error message would not be specific, saying it's the model mismatch. No, it will only say no HTTPS response. It's up to you that you have to decide based on the documents that whether that product is going to be supported by TMS or not. Okay, so life would be a little tough when we talk about TMS and you compare it with expressways or endpoints. The logging on expressway is pretty specific. You get a lot of info in expressway or endpoint. In TMS, you won't get. It's more of the documentation and the web interface experience that you have to gain. That's how you'll able to troubleshoot better way in the TMS. The logs are pretty generic. It could be one error, and there could be 10 different troubleshooting steps for the same error message. Okay, so before you gather any logs, you have to just do some basic checks like versions, what version of Windows, what version of codec he has, what model of codec he has. Those has to be validated prior you ask for any logs or you come up with any action plan. Okay, one error, it could be generic, it could be very generic message, and that could lead to 10 different or maybe 12 different troubleshooting steps. Yeah, so get into depth before you get logs or before you ask any steps to do further. Uh, so TMS does send booking confirmation emails when you book meetings. User who has booked meeting will receive a confirmation that user has been booked for this meeting. These will be the participant. This will be the booking address. All of that will be taken care by TMS. When it also takes care of the resource allocation here. So when I say resource allocation, I mean you have a bridge. You bought 100 licenses for MCU or a TPS. Now TMS will make sure that when you book meetings, uh, if meetings are scheduled from 9 to 10 for 90 participants, and there is another meeting which is coming up for the same time frame, which will require 20 more. That makes it 110. And we have a limit of 100 participants or 100 license we have in a bridge. TMS will look if other resources are available at that time because the current resource is already occupied. So those resource allocation is something which is taken care by TMS. Uh, in case other resources are not available, it won't let you book second meeting. You have to reduce the number of participants, reduce it to 10, and then check if that is acceptable by TMS, and then only it will let you book. Okay, so there are scenarios wherein customer says uh, that I started a meeting and when the meeting started, participants were not able to join this or that reason. So TMS will only book meetings. It will only send you confirmation when there is a resource available. Later on, maybe they have utilized those bridges for some other reason. They may have booked some ad hoc conferences at that time. Maybe they utilize it manually. They utilize those resources manually, and at the time of booking or at the time of uh, at the time when the meeting was going to start, the resources were occupied. There could be a reason. But when TMS book a meeting, it will always check the resources. So there'll be no conflict with the resources at that point. Maybe later on, customer may make mistakes, and that's what you have to troubleshoot. Any question, guys, so far on this?